First Contact and Misunderstanding. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at the viewport of the International Space Station, her dark eyes fixed on the shimmering anomaly that had appeared in Earth's orbit just 72 hours ago. The iridescent tear in space-time pulsed with otherworldly energy, a beacon that had drawn the attention of every nation on the planet. "It's time," came the voice of Commander Rodriguez over the intercom. "They're making contact." Ilara's heart raced as she made her way to the communication hub. As Earth's leading quantum physicist, she had been chosen to be humanity's scientific representative for this historic moment. The air in the station felt charged with anticipation. As she entered the hub, a holographic projection flickered to life before them. The alien that materialized was unlike anything Ilara had imagined. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent scales covering its serpentine body. 4 arms ended in delicate, multi-jointed fingers, and its head was crowned with feather-like sensory organs that shifted colors as it spoke. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien's voice resonated, somehow both melodic and grating. "I am Zarthal, emissary of the Galactic Concordat. We come seeking your assistance in a matter of utmost urgency." Ilara exchanged glances with her colleagues before stepping forward. "We are honored by your presence, Zarthal. I am Dr. Ilara Chen. How may we assist you?" The alien's feathers rippled in what Ilara assumed was amusement. "Dr. Chen, your species has only recently mastered rudimentary space travel, yet we find ourselves in need of fresh perspectives. The Concordat faces a grave threat, one that has pushed even our advanced civilizations to the brink." Over the next hour, Zarthal explained the situation. A silicon-based life form, dubbed the Swarm, had emerged from the depths of space, consuming entire star systems to fuel its endless reproduction. The Concordat, an alliance of the galaxy's most advanced species, had been fighting a losing battle for centuries. "We have observed your species' rapid technological advancement," Zarthal continued. "While primitive by our standards, your unique evolutionary path may offer insights we have overlooked. We invite Earth to join the Concordat and contribute to our war effort." The offer was staggering. Humanity, barely able to reach its own moon, was being invited to join an intergalactic alliance. The potential for advancement was immeasurable, but so were the risks. "We are humbled by your invitation," Ilara responded carefully. "But what exactly do you expect us to contribute? Our technology is, as you said, primitive compared to yours." Zarthal's feathers shimmered in what Ilara was beginning to recognize as condescension. "We have prepared a simple task that should be well within your capabilities. It will allow us to assess your potential while you acclimate to Concordat technology." The alien gestured, and a holographic schematic appeared before them. It depicted a small cylindrical device with intricate internal components. "This is a quantum harmonizer," Zarthal explained. "It is a basic component in many of our systems. Your task is to replicate this device using materials we will provide. It's a straightforward assembly process, requiring only a rudimentary understanding of quantum mechanics." Ilara studied the schematic, her mind racing. The device was far more advanced than anything humanity had created, but its purpose seemed almost trivial. "I see," she said, masking her disappointment. "And how will this assist in the war effort?" Zarthal's feathers rippled again. "The harmonizers are used in various support systems. By taking on this task, you free up our more advanced species to focus on critical weaponry and defense systems. It is a small but necessary contribution." As the meeting concluded and plans were made for humanity's integration into the Concordat, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being patronized. The aliens clearly viewed humans as children, barely worth their time. In the weeks that followed, Earth was transformed. Concordat ships arrived, bringing with them wonders beyond imagination. A space elevator was constructed in days, linking Earth to a massive orbital station where human scientists and engineers would work on their assigned task. Ilara found herself leading the Quantum Harmonizer project, overseeing a team of Earth's brightest minds. The work was fascinating but frustratingly simple. The Concordat had provided them with all the necessary materials and detailed instructions. It felt less like scientific innovation and more like following a complex recipe. "This is insulting," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Ilara's deputy, grumbled one day. "We're basically an assembly line for alien spare parts." Ilara shared her frustration, but something about the quantum harmonizer nagged at her. Its internal workings were elegant, almost beautiful in their complexity. "There's more to this device than they're telling us," she mused, studying the schematic for the 1000th time. It was during one of these late-night study sessions that Ilara had her epiphany. She had been comparing the harmonizer's quantum field equations to human theories when she noticed a discrepancy. The device wasn't just harmonizing quantum fields, it was creating microscopic, stable wormholes. "Oh my God," Ilara breathed, her mind reeling with the implications. She quickly called her team together, explaining her discovery. "But why would they have us building miniature wormhole generators and call them simple harmonizers?" Yuki asked, bewildered. Ilara's eyes gleamed with excitement. "Because they don't realize what they have. Look at how they're using them. As stabilizers in their FTL drives, as power regulators. They're treating quark-level wormholes as a side effect, not the main feature." The team fell into an awed silence as they grasped the magnitude of Ilara's insight. "So what do we do?" someone finally asked. Ilara stood, a plan already forming in her mind. "We do exactly what they asked. We build their harmonizers. But we also start experimenting. If I'm right, we might have just stumbled upon the key to creating a weapon powerful enough to stop the swarm." As the team dispersed, energized by their new secret purpose, Ilara gazed out at the stars. The Concordat had unwittingly handed humanity the tools to prove its worth. Now it was up to them to rise to the challenge. Little did the aliens know, their simple task was about to change the course of the war and humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The human innovation. The orbital station hummed with activity as Dr. Ilara Chen and her team worked tirelessly on their secret project. To the Concordat observers, it appeared that the humans were diligently producing quantum harmonizers as instructed. In reality, Ilara's team was pushing the boundaries of physics, exploring the untapped potential of the alien technology. "We've successfully stabilized a wormhole the size of a proton," Dr. Yuki Tanaka announced, her eyes bright with excitement despite the dark circles beneath them. "It's small, but it's a start." Ilara nodded, her mind already racing ahead. "Good. Now we need to find a way to scale it up without alerting the Concordat to what we're doing." The team had converted a section of their lab into a covert research area, hidden behind the facade of harmonizer production. They worked in shifts, maintaining their official duties while pushing forward with their secret experiments. As weeks turned into months, the humans made steady progress. They learned to manipulate the quantum fields generated by the harmonizers, creating larger and more stable wormholes. But with each breakthrough came new challenges. "The energy requirements are astronomical," Dr. Mohammed Said, their power systems expert, reported. "If we try to scale this up to a weaponized level, we'd need the output of a small star." Ilara frowned, poring over the data. "There has to be a way to make it more efficient. What if we—" Her words were cut off by a sudden commotion outside the lab. The team quickly hid their experimental setup as the door slid open, revealing Zarthal flanked by two other alien species Ilara didn't recognize. "Dr. Chen," Zarthal's voice reverberated through the room, its feathers a swirl of curious colors. "We've come to inspect your progress." Ilara stepped forward, her heart racing, but her voice steady. "Of course, Zarthal. We're honored by your visit. As you can see, production of the quantum harmonizers is proceeding on schedule." The alien's gaze swept across the lab, lingering for a moment on the concealed area before moving on. "Indeed, your efficiency is unexpected. However, we've received reports of unusual energy fluctuations from this section of the station." One of Zarthal's companions, a crystalline being that seemed to shift and flow like liquid glass, chimed in with a voice like tinkling bells. The humans couldn't possibly be the source. Their understanding of our technology is far too limited. Ilara felt a flicker of anger at the dismissal, but kept her composure. We've been conducting some minor experiments to improve our production methods. Nothing significant, I assure you. Zarthel's feathers rippled in what Ilara had come to recognize as skepticism. I see. Well, carry on with your work, Dr. Chen. But do be mindful of your energy consumption. Resources are precious in these times of war. As the aliens left, the tension in the room slowly dissipated. Yuki approached Ilara, her voice low. That was too close. Maybe we should slow down our research, play it safer. Ilara shook her head, a determined glint in her eye. No, if anything, we need to work faster. The Concordat is getting suspicious, and we don't know how much time we have before the swarm reaches us. Over the next few weeks, the team redoubled their efforts. They worked in near secrecy, communicating their findings in code and disguising their experiments as production irregularities. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. Ilara was reviewing the harmonizer schematics for the 1000th time when she noticed something they had all overlooked. The quantum field isn't just creating wormholes, she murmured, her fingers flying over the holographic display. It's also generating a form of negative energy, if we can harness that. She quickly called the team together, explaining her theory. By reconfiguring the harmonizers to focus on producing negative energy instead of wormholes, they could create a device capable of incredible destructive power. Imagine a bomb that doesn't just destroy matter, Ilara explained, her eyes alight with the possibilities, but temporarily negates the very fabric of space-time itself. The implications were staggering. Such a weapon could potentially annihilate the swarm without harming normal matter, but it was also terrifying in its potential for abuse. As the team set to work on this new direction, tensions in the wider galaxy were escalating. Reports filtered in of swarm activity at the edges of Concordat space. The aliens grew more agitated, their visits to the human section becoming more frequent and probing. Ilara knew they were running out of time. The prototype of their device, which they had dubbed the Nullifier, was nearly complete, but they had no way to test it without revealing their work to the Concordat. Then came the news that changed everything. The swarm had broken through the Concordat's outer defenses. They were heading straight for Earth. In a panic, the Concordat leadership called an emergency meeting of all species. Ilara found herself standing before a vast holographic assembly of alien beings, each more bizarre and wondrous than the last. Zarthel's voice boomed across the chamber. The situation is dire. Our most advanced weapons have failed to halt the swarm's advance. If any species has been withholding technology that could aid our cause, now is the time to present it. Ilara felt the weight of every alien gaze upon her. In that moment, she knew that humanity's future hung in the balance. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. Esteemed members of the Concordat, she began, her voice strong despite her nerves. Humanity has developed a weapon that we believe could turn the tide of this war. We call it the Nullifier. A murmur rippled through the assembly. Zarthel's feathers flashed a mix of disbelief and anger. Impossible. You were given a simple task, nothing more. How could you have possibly? Ilara cut him off, her patience finally snapping. You gave us the keys to the universe and expected us to use them as doorstops. Humanity has a long history of turning simple tools into powerful weapons. We saw the potential in your quantum harmonizers that you had overlooked. She went on to explain the principles behind the Nullifier, watching as understanding and awe spread across the alien faces. When she finished, a heavy silence fell over the chamber. Finally, a beam of pure energy pulsed forward. If what you say is true, this weapon could be our salvation. But it is untested, unproven. Using it could be catastrophic. Ilara nodded solemnly. Yes, but facing annihilation by the swarm, are we left with any other choice? As debate erupted among the Concordat species, Ilara stood firm. Humanity had taken its first true step onto the galactic stage. Now they had to prove they were ready for the responsibility that came with it. The fate of Earth, the Concordat, and perhaps the entire galaxy now rested on a weapon born from a simple misunderstanding and human ingenuity. The real test was yet to come. The battle begins. The Concordat's central command center was a marvel of alien engineering, a vast chamber filled with swirling holograms and incomprehensible technology. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at its heart, surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a mixture of hope and skepticism. The swarm has breached the Orion Arm, a being of pure energy announced, its voice crackling like static. Our outer defenses have fallen. We estimate less than 72 Earth hours before they reach the Sol system. Zarthel's feathers rippled with agitation. We cannot allow them to consume another core world. Earth must be protected at all costs. Ilara couldn't help but feel a twinge of irony. Just months ago, humanity had been seen as barely worth noticing. Now they were central to the Concordat's survival strategy. The nullifier is our best hope, Ilara insisted, her voice steady despite her racing heart. We've run every simulation possible. It will work. A chorus of alien voices rose in argument. Some supported the human weapon, while others argued that untested technology was too great a risk. As the debate raged, a new alarm blared through the command center. Swarm Vanguard detected in the Kuiper Belt, the energy being announced. They're moving faster than we anticipated. The news silenced the room. Zarthel's feathers dulled to a grim gray. We have no choice. Deploy all available ships to Earth's defense. And it hesitated, turning to Ilara. Prepare your nullifier, Dr. Chen. We pray to the cosmos that it works as you claim. As the Concordat fleet mobilized, Ilara and her team worked feverishly to prepare the nullifier for deployment. The device, no larger than a small car, hummed with barely contained power. The energy core is stable, Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing over holographic controls. But we're still seeing fluctuations in the containment field. If it fails during activation, it won't, Ilara said firmly, though her stomach churned with anxiety. It can't. We've come too far to fail now. As they made final adjustments, the first reports of battle began to filter in. The Concordat's most advanced ships engaged the swarm at the edge of the solar system, their weapons flaring against the void of space. Ilara watched the tactical displays with a mix of awe and horror. The swarm ships were unlike anything she had imagined, vast fractal structures that seemed to defy conventional physics. They absorbed energy weapons like sponges and shrugged off kinetic impacts as if they were mere pebbles. Our primary fleet is reporting heavy losses, a multi-limbed alien tactician announced, its voice tinged with despair. The swarm's adaptive capabilities are overwhelming our defenses. Zarthel turned to Ilara, its feathers a tumultuous storm of colors. Dr. Chen, we need the nullifier now. Earth's orbital defenses won't hold for long. Ilara nodded, her mouth dry. We're ready. But there's something you need to understand. The nullifier, it's not just a weapon. It's going to change everything. Before Zarthal could respond, a new alarm blared. The tactical display shifted, showing a massive swarm ship breaking through the Concordat's lines. It was heading straight for Earth, its fractal structure writhing and growing as it absorbed debris and smaller ships in its path. That's their primary world seed, the tactician explained, multiple limbs gesticulating in panic. If it reaches Earth, it will convert the entire planet into swarm biomass within hours. The command center erupted into chaos. Species that had been allies for millennia now turned on each other, hurling accusations and recriminations. In the midst of the pandemonium, Ilara made her decision. Launch the nullifier. She commanded her team through their secure channel. Target the world seed. As the small human device detached from the orbital station, an uneasy hush fell over the command center. All eyes turned to the tactical display, watching as the tiny speck that represented humanity's last hope approached the massive swarm vessel. Nullifier approaching target. Yuki's voice came through the comm. Activation in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The nullifier appeared to simply impact the surface of the world seed, a mere pinprick against its vast bulk. Then, reality itself seemed to shudder. A sphere of absolute darkness bloomed from the point of impact, expanding rapidly. It engulfed the world seed, seeming to erase it from existence. The sphere continued to grow, swallowing swarm ships and debris alike. By the first ones, Zarthal whispered, its feathers pale with shock. What have you done? Ilara watched in a mixture of triumph and terror as the sphere of nothingness continued to expand. We've created a localized negation of space-time, she explained, her voice barely above a whisper. Everything within that sphere ceases to exist, not just destroyed, but erased from reality itself. The alien species in the command center watched in stunned silence as the nullifier's effect finally began to dissipate. Where once there had been a massive swarm fleet, there was now just empty space. No debris, no radiation, nothing to indicate that anything had ever been there at all. As the implications of what they had just witnessed began to sink in, the mood in the command center shifted. The aliens turned to look at Ilara and the other humans present, their expressions unreadable. You've saved us all, Zarthal said slowly, its feathers cycling through a range of colors Ilara had never seen before. But at what cost? This weapon. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. The power to erase reality itself. Ilara stood tall, meeting the alien's gaze. We did what we had to do to survive, just as humanity has always done. As reports began to come in from across the solar system, confirming the swarm's retreat and the effectiveness of the nullifier, Ilara couldn't shake a feeling of unease. They had won the battle, perhaps even the war. But in doing so, they had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Concordat species now looked at humanity with new eyes, not with the condescension of before, but with a wary respect tinged with fear. Ilara realized that their real challenge was just beginning. They had proven humanity's worth, but now they had to prove they could be trusted with the awesome power they had unleashed. As celebrations erupted across Earth and the Concordat worlds, Ilara turned her gaze to the stars. The galaxy had been saved, but it would never be the same again. And humanity, for better or worse, was now at the center of it all. The battle was over, but the true test of humanity's place in the cosmos was just beginning. Unveiling the human weapon. In the days following the nullifier's deployment, an uneasy calm settled over the galaxy. The swarm's retreat had brought a tentative peace, but the revelation of humanity's weapon had sent shockwaves through the Concordat. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the center of a diplomatic storm, summoned to explain the nullifier's capabilities to an emergency council of the Concordat's ruling species. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater, its curved walls adorned with shimmering symbols representing each member species. Ilara stood on a floating platform at its center, surrounded by alien dignitaries whose expressions ranged from awe to barely concealed fear. Zarthal, acting as the session's moderator, spoke first. Dr. Chen, the Concordat recognizes the debt we owe to humanity. Your weapon has turned the tide of a war we thought unwinnable. However, we must understand the full implications of this technology. Please, explain to us how the nullifier functions. Ilara took a deep breath, keenly aware that her words would shape the future of human-alien relations. The nullifier, she began, works by creating a localized negation of space-time. It doesn't just destroy matter. It temporarily removes a section of reality from existence. A murmur rippled through the assembly. A crystalline being chimed in, its voice like tinkling glass. But how is this achieved? Surely, it violates fundamental laws of physics. Not exactly, Ilara explained. It exploits a loophole in quantum mechanics that your own harmonizers inadvertently revealed to us. By generating a massive amount of negative energy, we can essentially cancel out a portion of space-time. The questions came rapid fire after that. Ilara found herself delving into complex physics, explaining concepts that pushed the boundaries of even the Concordat's advanced understanding. As she spoke, she could see the realization dawning on many alien faces. Humanity hadn't just created a powerful weapon. They had unlocked a new fundamental understanding of the universe. This technology, a gaseous entity, pulsed, its voice filled with concern. It could be used for more than just weapons, couldn't it? Ilara nodded solemnly. Yes, the potential applications are vast. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible. The chamber erupted into heated debate. Some species argued for immediately sharing the technology among all Concordat members. Others called for its suppression, fearing its destructive potential. A few even suggested that humanity be quarantined, deemed too dangerous to allow free reign in the galaxy. As the arguments raged, Ilara felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Yuki, who had been allowed to attend as her assistant. "We've got a problem," Yuki whispered urgently. "New data from the nullifier test site, the spatial distortion. It's not dissipating as we predicted." Ilara's blood ran cold. She turned back to the assembly, raising her voice to be heard over the din. "Esteemed members of the Concordat, I must interrupt. We have a developing situation that requires immediate attention." The chamber fell silent as Ilara explained the new data. The area where the nullifier had been deployed was experiencing continued spacetime instability. It was small now, but growing steadily. If left unchecked, Ilara concluded, her voice grave, this distortion could expand to engulf entire star systems, possibly even the whole galaxy. The news hit like a shockwave. The fear and suspicion that had been simmering beneath the surface now boiled over. Accusations flew, with some species blaming humanity for recklessly endangering the galaxy. Zarthel's feathers flashed a kaleidoscope of agitated colors. "Dr. Chen, can this distortion be contained?" Ilara hesitated, her mind racing through possibilities. "Theoretically, yes, but it would require a massive amount of energy and resources. We'd need the full cooperation of the Concordat." "And why should we trust you with such power?" A silicon-based life form rumbled. "How do we know this isn't some human ploy for galactic dominance?" The chamber descended into chaos once more. Ilara stood firm, her voice cutting through the noise. "We don't have time for this. Every moment we waste in argument, the distortion grows. This isn't about politics or power. It's about the survival of every species in this room, and countless others beyond." Her words seemed to penetrate the panic. Gradually, the alien representatives fell silent, turning to her with a mixture of hope and desperation. "Tell us what you need," Zarthel said quietly. Over the next few hours, Ilara outlined a plan. It would require combining human insights with the most advanced technology from every Concordat species. They would create a device capable of stabilizing the spatial distortion, essentially a reverse nullifier. As the council debated the proposal, Ilara couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. Humanity had been brought into the Concordat to help fight the swarm. Now, they found themselves racing to save the galaxy from a threat of their own making. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the council reached a decision. The plan was approved, but with conditions. Humanity would lead the effort, but under close supervision from a coalition of Concordat species, and once the crisis was resolved, all nullifier technology would be placed under joint control. As the council adjourned, Ilara felt the weight of countless alien gazes upon her. She had unveiled humanity's greatest technological achievement, only to reveal its terrible potential for destruction. Now, the fate of the galaxy rested on their ability to undo what they had done. Zarthel approached her as she prepared to leave. Its feathers were a subdued blue, reflecting the somber mood. "Dr. Chen, I hope you understand the gravity of this situation. The trust we're placing in humanity." Ilara nodded, her expression determined. "We won't let you down, Zarthal. We created this problem, and we'll fix it. That's the human way." As she left the chamber with Yuki, Ilara's mind was already racing with plans and calculations. They had saved the galaxy once with human ingenuity. Now, they would have to do it again. This time, with the eyes of every advanced civilization upon them. The nullifier had changed everything, thrusting humanity onto the galactic stage in a way no one could have predicted. As they prepared to face this new challenge, Ilara couldn't help but wonder what other universe-altering discoveries lay hidden in the simple tools the Concordat had dismissed. The next phase of their cosmic journey was about to begin, and its outcome would determine the fate of not just humanity, but all life in the galaxy. Aftermath and reflections. 5 years had passed since the deployment of the nullifier and the subsequent crisis it had unleashed. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive structure orbiting the repaired spatial distortion. The view before her was a testament to what could be achieved when species united in the face of adversity. Where once there had been a growing void in space-time, now there was a shimmering, opalescent sphere. It was a contained pocket of altered physics, a monument to both human ingenuity and Concordat cooperation. The reverse nullifier, as it had come to be known, had not only stopped the distortion's growth, but had transformed it into something entirely new. "Quite a view, isn't it?" A familiar voice chimed. Ilara turned to see Zarthal approaching, its feathers a calm, iridescent blue. "It never gets old," Ilara replied with a smile. "Sometimes I still can't believe we pulled it off." Zarthal's feathers rippled in what Ilara had learned was amusement. "You humans have a remarkable talent for achieving the impossible. It's unsettling at times." The comment was lighthearted, but Ilara could sense the underlying truth in it. Humanity's rise in the galactic community had been meteoric, and not without controversy. The successful containment of the spatial distortion had cemented Earth's position as a major power within the Concordat, but it had also bred resentment and fear among some species. "The Galactic Council session is about to begin," Zarthal reminded her. "Are you ready to present the findings?" Ilara nodded, taking a deep breath. Today's presentation would shape the future of not just humanity, but the entire Concordat. As they made their way to the council chambers, Ilara reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The years following the nullifier incident had been a whirlwind of scientific breakthroughs and diplomatic challenges. Humanity had been thrust into the role of reluctant innovators, their unique perspective constantly challenging Concordat norms. The technology behind the nullifier had been carefully controlled, but its principles had sparked a renaissance in physics and engineering across the galaxy. Earth itself had been transformed. The influx of alien knowledge and technology had accelerated human development by centuries. Diseases that had once plagued humanity were now distant memories. Clean energy was abundant, and the first human colonies were thriving on distant worlds. But with progress came new responsibilities and dangers. Earth now sat on the Concordat's ruling council, its voice carrying weight in decisions that affected billions of lives across thousands of worlds. The power to reshape reality itself was both a gift and a burden, one that humanity was still learning to bear. As they entered the council chambers, Ilara was struck by the diversity of the assembled beings. Species that had once viewed humans as primitive now looked to Earth for leadership and innovation. It was a heady and sometimes terrifying position. "Esteemed members of the Concordat," Ilara began, her voice steady as she addressed the assembly. 5 years ago, we faced a crisis of our own making. Today, I'm pleased to report that not only have we contained the spatial distortion, but we've made remarkable discoveries in the process. She went on to explain how the contained distortion had become a unique laboratory for studying the fundamental forces of the universe. The altered physics within the sphere had allowed for experiments that were impossible anywhere else, leading to advancements in energy production, faster than light travel, and even the manipulation of gravity itself. But perhaps the most important discovery, Ilara continued, her tone becoming more serious, is not scientific, but philosophical. This crisis has taught us the importance of cooperation, of combining our unique perspectives to solve problems that no single species could tackle alone. As she spoke, Ilara could see the impact of her words on the assembled representatives. There was a palpable sense of unity, of shared purpose that transcended individual species' interests. The nullifier was born from a misunderstanding, from your underestimation of human potential, she concluded. But its legacy is one of mutual respect and collaboration. We propose that the contained distortion be declared a free zone of scientific inquiry, open to all concordat species. Let it stand as a reminder of what we can achieve when we work together. The proposal was met with a chorus of approval. Species that had once been bitter rivals now found common ground in the pursuit of knowledge. As the session concluded, Ilara felt a profound sense of hope for the future. Later, as she stood once again at the observation deck, Ilara was joined by Yuki and several other members of the original nullifier team. "So, what's next for the great Dr. Chen?" Yuki asked with a grin. "Reshaping another fundamental aspect of reality." Ilara laughed, shaking her head. "I think I've had enough of playing with the fabric of the universe for one lifetime. But there's still so much to explore, so many mysteries to unravel." As they gazed out at the shimmering sphere that had once threatened to consume the galaxy, Ilara felt a sense of profound gratitude. Humanity had been given a chance to prove itself on the galactic stage, and against all odds, they had risen to the challenge. The future was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril. But as Ilara looked at her team, at the aliens she now called friends, and at the vast expanse of stars beyond, she knew one thing for certain. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun, and the greatest adventures were still to come.